Yeah, pretty lonely to be honest. We just need to work harder and try to improve the car.
Something shifted this week, and it did not happen on a racetrack. Max Verstappen quietly posted a promotional video on his own website selling grandstand tickets for the 2027 Austrian Grand Prix, while simultaneously his management were knocking on Mercedes' door offering a €50 million pay cut just to get in. Wolff said no. Inside Red Bull, their own technical director is blocking their own race engineer from seeing the full data picture, and the exit clause opens in 18 days. This is the week the story stopped being about rumors and started being about doors, which ones are open, which ones just closed, and which one Max is actually walking toward. Start with the quiet one, because it is the most revealing. This week, a promotional campaign appeared on Max Verstappen's official website and social media channels, not from Red Bull, from Max's own team, inviting fans to secure their spot in the Verstappen grandstand at the Red Bull Ring for the 2027 Austrian Grand Prix. No statement attached, no press conference, no quote from his manager, just a video posted on his own channels, built around next year. Your audience needs to understand what this actually is. A driver who is seriously considering leaving Formula One entirely or taking a sabbatical does not promote next year's grandstand on his own platform. His own team controls that content. They chose to publish it this week, of all weeks, while every rumor in the paddock is pointing somewhere else. It is not a contract announcement, but in a week of silence and denials, it is the one piece of communication Max's camp chose to release themselves, and it points forward, not sideways. Now, the story that should have been the headline of every outlet this week, and was not, according to De Telegraaf journalist Eric van Haren, who has covered Red Bull closely throughout the entire Verstappen era, technical director Pierre Wache is now deliberately withholding engineering data from GP Lambiase. The direct quote from the report: Pierre Wache no longer shares all the info with Max's engineer as he might end up leaking confidential information to McLaren. It's not a really healthy situation. Read that carefully. Red Bull's technical director is blocking their own race engineer, the man responsible for Max's car, every single Sunday from seeing the complete data picture, because that race engineer is leaving for McLaren in 2028. The institutional paranoia has now reached the point where Red Bull is actively compromising its own race weekend operations to protect against a future leak. And the cruel irony sits right beneath the surface. GP does not need to take a laptop when he leaves. As David Coulthard said back in April, what is in your mind you are allowed to take with you. Blocking the data does not stop the knowledge. It just makes the car slower on Sundays. Here is the chapter the rest of F1 media is covering backwards. The headline everywhere is, Mercedes rejected Verstappen. The real story is what Max offered before they said no. According to Motorsport Italia journalist Franco Nugnes, Verstappen's management approached Mercedes and offered to drop his salary from €100 million annually to $50 million, a 50% pay cut, in exchange for a 3-year contract. Wolff said no. Now understand the full weight of that. This is a driver who earns €90 to €100 million per year at Red Bull, who went to the dominant team on the grid and offered to have his own salary and was still turned down. Wolff's logic has been consistent since August 2025, when he told Vermeulen publicly, if we have the best car, we only need to pay 10% of that $100 million. He was not joking. He has the best car. He did not move. And Ralf Schumacher's explanation is the one that stings most. Wolff does not want to recreate Hamilton versus Rosberg. He has Antonelli as his future. He does not need Max badly enough to disrupt it, even at a discount. The Wache data blockade is not the only fracture inside Red Bull this week. According to the same Eric van Haren report, the relationship between Verstappen's camp and Red Bull's senior management has completely broken down behind closed doors. For weeks, Red Bull has been demanding a public commitment from Max, just a statement confirming he will drive for them in 2027. He has refused every time. The friction reached a specific flashpoint at Silverstone when Max insisted on replacing his power unit and making significant setup changes before the Grand Prix. The team refused. He started P7. The car spun at Stowe with 5 laps left. The exact outcome he predicted when he told them on Saturday, there was no point racing, unchanged. Van Haren also reported that in Canada, Max told the team they had made the wrong setup choice. They did not listen. he finished fourth. The pattern is not one bad weekend. It is a driver who has been proven right about his car repeatedly, being overruled by an engineering structure that is simultaneously withholding data from his own race engineer out of paranoia. That is not a team and a driver working together. That is two separate entities sharing a garage. The complete picture as the exit clause countdown enters its final 18 days. Max sits 7th in the championship with 73 points. Antonelli leads with 195. The gap is 122 points, mathematically irrelevant for a title fight. The exit clause activates after the Hungarian GP on July 26th. After Wolff's rejection, McLaren remains the only realistic destination outside Red Bull, and Motorsport Week reported this week that every permutation is on the table, including a long-term McLaren deal with money unlikely to be an obstacle, and a Piastri to Red Bull swap confirmed as the most likely exchange scenario. Max has confirmed publicly he will be racing in F1 in 2027, which rules out sabbatical and retirement as immediate outcomes. Red Bull have offered him a 4-year extension to 2032, per Ralf Schumacher. He turned it down. Belgium at Spa is next on July 19th. Hungary follows July 26th. After Hungary, Max has until October to trigger the clause or let it expire. The promotional campaign for the 2027 Austrian GP Grandstand is already live on his website. 18 days until the window opens. Every day between now and Hungary is a chapter of the same story. So this is where everything stands going into the final stretch before the summer break. Max quietly pointed his own audience toward 2027 without saying a word. His management knocked on Mercedes' door, offered 50 million euros off his own salary, and were turned down by a team principal who decided his current lineup was worth more than the 4-time world champion at half price. Inside Red Bull, the technical director is blocking his own race engineer from seeing the full picture because the paranoia about McLaren has now infected the race weekend itself. And the denied engine request at Silverstone proved what Max already knew. When he is right about the car and the team overrules him, the car crashes. Belgium is on July 19th. Hungary is July 26th. Subscribe because the moment Hungary ends, this story demands its answer, and I will be covering it immediately. The open question nobody can answer yet. With Mercedes closed, McLaren open, and Red Bull fracturing from the inside, is Max's 2027 Grandstand campaign a signal that he has already decided to stay, or the last piece of content his team published before everything changed?